Let's fast forward a little bit to when you start to blow up, let's say on the internet. How do you start to deal with the fact that you cannot respond to everybody? Because like I was starting to understand when I was going through, you blew me up from this interview. It's like there's so many comments. How do you deal with the fact emotionally as such a empathetic person wanting to help everyone? How do you deal with the fact that you can't respond to everyone at a certain point? How do you deal with that emotionally and mentally?
It was a tough struggle. As you know, that was a big platform I sat on. Thank You Economy was about replying to everybody. I did it for 5 years. I used to go to sleep at 4 o'clock in the morning. I would wake up at 10 and get my 6, but like I was going hard. I wanted to go to sleep every night, replying to everybody and every email. I thought it was imperative. I didn't have a platform other than making real relationships. I believed in it. I believe in it today. It's why I'm here right this second. So at some point I knew the math was too much. And it wasn't that I was burning out. And I do think that's what it is for others. And if you feel like you don't like it anymore, you shouldn't. But for me, I was just growing too fast and like, I'm logical. And I was like, oh, I could do this for another year, but like the math is very clear. And maybe it's time I get to reconcile that I can't reply to everybody. But I still believe that replying to everybody on Twitter from May 07 to, let's call it, I don't know where in 2011, I kind of stopped doing it. But that was a weird transition to me. It was like my norm. I just thought it's what I did. But I still love responding to people ad hoc and doing things. And I do think what makes social media unique is the conversation element. I do think that in the 07, 08, 09 era, it was all hippie Nirvana land. It was all nice. It's not that anymore. And I think that leads to people's different relationships with social media. But I get great enjoyment from engaging with communities and, you learn things, right? I reply nicely to one thing from you and next thing I know, I'm like, what's Money Twitter? Money Twitter's in the building, right? Like, and like seeing that whole unearthed community. And I always love seeing, for me, I'll always be attracted to the young bucks. When I see that kind of energy, I'm like, oh, like I have love for that. I'm like, good for that. Like good for people like doing it. Like, you know what I mean? Like as a mid-aged lion now, who was always a young lion, I see a lot of mid-aged and old lions get bitter about young lions, wanting to like shit on them and this and that. And I never understand. I'm like, you were that young lion. It was funny. I just have always not understood. I cheer for the youth. I don't understand how people don't. I also am competitive. It was funny. Some of the comments in our exchange, some people are like, Gary's too passive. He's not about making that money. I was laughing. I was like, let's do a money off, dick. Let's see who wins. Like, I'm doing brand while people do sales. That's where people get confused. Nike's not out here peddling, but that swoosh is worth a zillion. And I think people, will evolve their thinking and things of that nature. But I also like the competitive spirit. I still am in the prime of my career. So getting down in with the young lions, like I can grind it with the best of them. So I'm about that life, but I'm also about having a well-rounded combo because I don't think most people have the self-esteem that I have. And when they're dealt with adversity, that's when they go into sad places. I also do think that people are flexing too much perception versus reality. I didn't have those issues. And I want to be responsible with my platform to talk about all angles because some people could be about that money for a year and a half, but end up at zero. I know those people. I know unlimited people that were about that money life for 2 or 3 years, 4 years, so much so that they built an unstable, unsustainable model and lost all the way from never being financially sound again, all the way to the extremes of taking their lives. And I think good balanced conversations matter. And I think that demonizing patience makes me laugh. That's just confusion. That doesn't mean sit on your ass. One of the kids said something in the thing and made me tweet. I'm like, don't confuse patience with non-action. I'm out here burning it every day, but you can't expect everything to happen in 2 seconds.